I feel really proud of myself. And what I knew when I was 60, I just feel like I've learned so much. I've come a long way in the 2 years. And it's about my family, my children. I just want to leave a legacy for my children, my grandchildren, my great-grandchildren, and just to let people know that you can break that cycle of poverty, but it's just about your mindset.
Reaching 60 was a pivotal moment for me, where I sensed an unfulfilled potential lingering beneath the surface. It was as if life had been whispering that there was something more I needed to achieve. The world of property beckoned, offering a new avenue to explore, grow, and make a lasting impact. And so, I embarked on this journey with a sense of purpose and anticipation, eager to unlock the possibilities that await me. Embarking on my property journey at age 60 was a bold step, defying the norm. At 62, I'm now 2 years into this adventure, building a new chapter in my life filled with challenges, growth, and the excitement of discovering new opportunities in the real estate world.
Maxine, welcome to the Wealth and Business Podcast. It's so good to have you here today.
Thanks for having me.
You know, this is one podcast episode I have been looking forward to doing as a mentor, as someone who has basically seen your transformation in your property journey, you know, over the last 2 years. Coming up to 2 years now, isn't it?
It's coming up to 3 years.
Actually, 3 years.
3 years.
Wow. And, you know, knowing exactly where you started from and knowing exactly where you are now, you're just somebody that I am so pleased to have worked with in your entire journey. It's been slow, but we're getting to the part where things are going to become faster now. So thank you so much for coming in this August podcast interview, right? When I mean August, like it felt like it wasn't coming, right? Yeah, that's what I mean by August. So for those of you who are watching, might be like, what does it mean August? This episode of the Wealth and Business Podcast is brought to you by our partner and sponsor, Ramsey & White. Ramsey & White is an award-winning specialist intermediary covering property, finance, wealth management, and estate agency. The Ramsey & White team can help you secure or source funding for your buy-to-lets, your HMOs, your commercial development, holiday lets, portfolio acquisition. They also offer financial reviews covering pension and investment. Not restricted by lenders or locations, the team at Ramsey & White will help you build momentum covering or growing your investment portfolio. Feel free to contact Ramsey & White, who is our partner and our sponsor for this episode of the Wealth and Business Podcast. The links to contacting Ramsey & White will be somewhere around the show notes. Make sure to reach out to them, as this company has actually helped me build my property portfolio over the last 6 years. So Max, for those who don't really know you, tell us who is Maxine.
Okay, I'm Maxine. I'm 62 years old. Wow. I'm the mother of 4 children.
Wow.
Age ranges between 43 and the youngest is 26.
Wow.
I have 8 grandchildren, ages between 27 and 3 years old. I'm going to be a great-grandmother in January, so that's coming up soon. I have a full-time job. I work in housing. I help vulnerable, I manage a team that helps vulnerable people. So we look after the vulnerable. And I'm also a qualified mediator and a qualified counsellor.
Wow. There's a lot of accolades there. It's been a journey, isn't it? So how did we basically get into property? What was the motivation, inspiration to the reason why? You just mentioned I'm 62. Most people your age right now will probably, be looking forward to retirement.
Yeah.
What was the inspiration as to let me get into property development? Let me get into property investments. Let me become an entrepreneur at this age?
Yeah. Well, you know what? I was interested in property about 25 years ago, actually. And I went into property with a friend of mine. We got stung, basically, by a developer. So he lost a bit of money. And I've always been interested. Although that happened, I've always been interested in property. And I don't know why, but working in housing as well. I used to do, back in the day, I used to do viewings as well as the new developments. I used to go and have a look at with the surveyors, and that really I just got interested in properties, even the old fashioned type buildings that we used to have. I used to really be interested. And I'd look in, I'd do viewings with tenants, potential tenants, and I could look at the property and, they'd say, oh no, it looks like this. And I could say to them, you can do this and you can do that. And, I was always interested in properties, and I watched all the property programs on TV. So that happened those years ago, and I kind of still on the back of my mind. I still went through my life and had it at the back of my mind, did other things like the counselling. I was trained for a counsellor for about 4 years, and then mediation. I'd done that through work, but still had property in my mind.
Yeah.
And so when I reached 60, that was March 2021, I remember thinking to myself, no, I'm coming to the end now. I'm going to be retiring in a few years. This is not my life. This cannot be my life. A lot of my friends were just kind of basically giving up and waiting for pensions, to retire. And I thought, nah, I'm too young. I'm too young in myself.
Yeah.
This is not my life. So I just scoured everywhere to look for. I don't even know what I was looking for, actually. I was just looking at purchasing how do I go about getting on the property ladder, buying another property, using finances from my house. I didn't know how to go about it. I knew that the situation that I was in wasn't really I didn't think it could allow me to buy another property.
Yeah.
So I did join another online housing, about property, but I just felt it was really good, but I felt they're too far away. They're up north. And I just thought, no, how am I going to get hold of them if I want to speak to them about something? Yeah. If I bought a property and something was wrong, how would I get hold of them? So anyway, Dr.Daniel Moses popped up on my Facebook page, and I kept on watching. And it was, I remember the video, actually. It was used, your car was there, you were standing outside your car, and I just thought, this guy, there's something. I just feel a connection, and I felt that you're there. I can touch you. I can, you're nearby. When I saw Bromley, I just thought, oh, that's really good, and I just kept watching it, and then I joined the
masterclass.
Was it the masterclass?
Yeah, it was online.
Online, yeah, and then I did the 3 days. 3 days one, and spoke to Kevin. Never forget Kevin. And I was really excited. I was just like, I want to do it. I want to do it. I want to do the 12-month mentorship, because it just sounded so, like this is something that I could be involved in and learn from. And, and I said to myself, I'm not going to give up. I'm just going to go through it, whatever it takes. I'm just going to go through it. I'm not going to give up on it.
I really love the fact of how you kind of broke it down, because let's be honest, a lot of people, they start this journey and it's not always about the completion. It's always about they saying they can't go through this anymore and they actually quit. And I think the reason why a lot of people quit is because people, in my opinion, the property space, people, come in and just think about the money only.
Yeah.
And having been an entrepreneur for a very long time in my life, and especially the last 6 years, a lot of things shifted in my life, and I came to realize entrepreneurship is not a get rich quick. That's number one. You're you can buy 1 or 2 properties easy. But if you're looking to acquire 5, you're looking to have 10, and you're looking to generate cash flow month in, month out, you're going to need more than just property. You're going to need more than just money. You're going to need to have mindset for success. Just as one of my mentors taught me, and this changed my life, he said, success is 70% mindset, 20% planning and strategy, 10% action. So I remember asking him once upon a time, and I said, no wonder I have been able to achieve some things in the last 6 years of my life, because I didn't understand this many things, for the first 14 years of my life, knowing that success depends on 70% of your mindset. Because the mindset out there is, everybody thinks the moment you become an entrepreneur, the moment you buy your first house for investment, the second house, you're rich.
You're rich, yeah. No, it's not true.
But it's not true. Because one property that is making you £500 a month is not going to cut the rope. Two, £1,000 is not going to cut the rope.
Yeah.
But really and truly, in order for this to really work for you, you have to be talking at least a minimum of owning 5 properties. Now, the other thing that hold people back is they never actually have the opportunity to own 5 properties. And because people quit on themselves.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting to hear that you said to yourself, I wasn't going to quit. And here we are. Like we said, going to 3 years now, been working with you since 2021. You saw me, you listened, I resonated with what I said. And then you came through to the masterclass. Then you spent the 3 days with us.
Yeah.
And then you progressed into joining the World Circle. And here we are. You've done so well, because a lot of people your age actually turning it down.
Yeah.
Like turning it down, waiting for retirement. You actually turning it up.
Turning it up.
You're turning it up. You're lifting the bar. You're lifting the bar.
Yeah.
And you're such an inspiration to me. And I've always said it to you in private, publicly. I always say this. I said, my mother is 80. My mother is going to be 88 next year. And I said, I always look at my mother. I'm like, she inspires me so much. I know you're not 88 yet, but I always say, sometimes I call you Auntie Maxine, sometimes I call you Mom, sometimes I call you, the mother of the whole, who is doing some amazing. We have another older woman in the group as well. She's 70, and you guys are not giving up. You guys are actually turning it up. In a situation where, for example, in England right now, a lot of people really do turn it down from the age of 6, especially among Black people.
Yeah.
Black people do tend to start quitting more from the age of 50.
Yeah.
They tend to start quitting more, and just almost like they're waiting to die.
Yeah.
But first, you don't look 62. As soon as you came in just now, I said, you don't look 62. So having said that, Max, let's kind of talk about how, you basically started. So you came to the masterclass, then you took action to come and spend in 3 days.
Yeah.
How was your first 1 year like? So you came to the 3 days. Whilst you were in that 3 days, what was your learning like? What was your, what was your mindset? What would you literally going through in those 3 days that you spend? Because most times people spend the 3 days and that will be the end of their journey. They can go and take so many actions. But what did you take away from the 3 days, and what inspired you to join the mentorship circle?
So when I joined, it was rent to rent, BRRR, or the sourcing. I didn't fancy the sourcing. The BRR, I just thought that wasn't for me because I didn't have the money. I wouldn't be able to. So I kind of had that. I was interested in it, but it was kind of a little bit back. But the rent to rent was like, oh, that sounds really good. Obviously, the first 6 months, nothing.
Yeah.
I got a little bit kind of like, oh, this is not working. It's not going to work for me. I'm not getting it. I'm doing the phone calls, but maybe not enough phone calls. Speaking to estate agents or lettings agents, and nothing. I mean, we did do a couple of viewings. I came on a couple of viewings with me, but it didn't work out. So I kind of felt like, oh, you know what? And I think I phoned you up one day and said that this is not happening. But before that, I think I joined with another lady. Joint venture together.
Yeah. No, that was before you actually joint venture. The time you called. The time you called that you were not doing this anymore. It's too difficult. Yeah, it was before the joint venture partnership.
Right. Okay. So So I just felt like I'm not doing this. I can't do this. Nothing's happening. I'm not getting anywhere with this. And I remember there was a meeting we had in the offices in Lewisham.
Yeah, Lewisham.
And
Came to the office.
And I think there was quite a few people like not doing much, and there was nothing going on. So you said, think about joint venturing. And Carleen, my business partner, she was there, and we kind of clicked, and we just thought, yeah, just joint venture.
Yeah.
So we did, and I think maybe a couple of months or a month after that.
It was November that year.
We got the property, but you said you promised that I'd get one before December.
Yeah.
And it happened. I got we got our first rent to rent.
And that was a good one, wasn't it?
That was a good one.
In terms of, it was good profit in it.
Yeah, good profit. And we had that for 2 years, and there was no vacancies. Even when someone left, somebody else came in. So we had that was a good deal.
Yeah, it was a shame to lose it, isn't it?
Yeah.
2 years later, the landlord wants his property back.
Yeah, it was a 2-year contract, so he had his always right to take it back. But I guess the time of what's happening at the moment, he needed that money. So.
Yeah, true. So you came through 3 days, and after the 3 days, you joined the mentorship, and then 6 months later, you wanted to actually quit, and eventually, you didn't quit. You joined venture, secured your first rent-to-rent HMO.
HMO, yeah.
It was a 6-bed or 5-bed?
5-bed.
Or 5-bed. And how much was that making?
So, after bills and all that, it was probably generating about £800-900 a month.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So in profit, after
bills,
after landlord for 2 years, it was always full. That was generating about £800-900 a month.
Yeah.
And obviously that was a joint venture agreement between you and your business partner, Carleen. And obviously, if you split that both ways, that would be giving you worst case scenario $350 a month each. £600, maybe £200 contingency in case of there's repairs or maintenance. And was there any time during that 2 years you guys had heavy maintenance that couldn't be passed to the landlord, or that you guys had to take a hit on?
Yeah, we had there was a leak in the property from one of the shower rooms, and we had to cover that. Cover that? Yeah.
The landlord didn't want to pay for it?
Landlord didn't want to pay for it. He felt that it was because it was one of the tenants' faults we had to take.
How much did that cost you?
That cost us about £700.
Oh, £700. Yeah. Oh, not too bad.
Yeah, nothing more than that, really, we had to.
So would you say the entire 2 years you had the property that you basically never spent like £5,000 all of a sudden?
No, we didn't.
Okay, that's fair enough, because most times there's a guy called Joseph in the World Circle community. He had a situation where he had overpromised to the landlord, and actually did not put a bill cap, bill cap to the landlord. So he said, "I'll take the property from you, and whatever happens, I'll fix it."
Okay.
And then I think he had a situation that cost him almost £5,000.
Oh wow. Okay.
That he had to pay out.
Yeah.
Because he had on the contract he had with the landlord, he did not specify, that I teach you most of you in the World Circle to have a bill cap between yourself and your one, you had a bill cap, right? £150. So he had to spend almost £5,000 on a property that he did not own, and he lost that money. So it's good to know you spent about £700. That was the highest expenses you ever had.
That's the highest expenses we had, yeah.
Great. So what then happened after the first deal? So how was that process of managing that first property like? How was it like for you?
Yeah, it was fine. We managed it well. We had really good tenants. We never had any issues there. There was some issues with the property. Water the showers wasn't working, and the pressure of the showers, I think that because of the piping and the way it was fitted and that. So we did have some issues, but we didn't have to fork out any money for it. It was down to the landlord.
It was down to the landlord.
Yeah, there was electrical issues. Electrics kept going off. That was overload and stuff like that. But that wasn't down to us. It was, the landlord had to deal with that. So
looking back now, in that first year, when you started your journey through the masterclass to the 3 days program, 3 days, summit, and then joining the World Circle, and eventually taking your, first rent-to-rent property on, what were the lessons learned? Because, a lot of people get into property, and this is why I talk about property entrepreneurship a lot. A lot of people get into rent-to-rent. and I have seen people who did go into rent to rent eventually join the mentorship, and I had to rewire their brains, teach them what they never thought they knew before. Because most people just take the first rent to rent deal, and then the profit comes in, like you said, 800, 900 pounds, and they just spend that money. And they didn't realize that, they needed to have contingency. They needed to, it's a business. And you would need to basically take action on a daily basis. So repairs, maintenance, you have to be at the beck and call of the tenants. You have to make sure the landlord who has trusted you with the property as well, all right, needed to get less calls from you, because the reason why he's giving you the property in the first place, he doesn't want to be the one being called. And plus, he did not want to pay the lettings agent at least 15% fee of managing the HMO for them, because HMO agents charge up to 15% on the gross rental income. And that's one of the reasons why rent to rent is very attractive to a lot of landlords. A lot of landlords wants to give you their property because they know, okay, you're going to give them a guaranteed rent month in, month out, as long as your property is tenanted and, vetting your tenants correctly and all of that. And on the back end, being able, all right, to be at peace, so they don't get no phone calls from anybody, because that's what they want. But they don't want to deal with a lettings agent. They rather deal with someone who they feel like, okay, they can learn to know and then learn to as well trust them. And most people end up doing the whole thing, upside down. This is one of the reasons why a lot of landlords these days are backing out from rent to rent, because a lot of people are taking on the properties and then causing the landlord more issues, headaches, and all of this. So what was your biggest learning through this process of you managing the property, managing the tenants, making sure the rents are coming through? What was the biggest lesson you would say you probably learned?
I think the biggest lesson that I learned was not to spend that money. We didn't spend that money. We sort of had a focus of saving that money for our next property. So it's about we didn't take a wage from it. We wasn't paid anything. We just kept it. Kept that money, for our next property.
For 2 years.
That was in our. Okay. That was a year. That was for we didn't get our next property for a year.
Well, yeah.
Took a year to get our next property, and we had to use that to do the pay all the fees and so forth. So that was a good thing that we did. Because otherwise, if we'd spent the money, if we would splitting the money every month and spending it, we wouldn't have had no money to go into our next deal.
Next deal.
Because you've got to pay your sourcing fee, you've got to pay, whatever's needed in the property. So.
Yeah. So after that, you saved the money for over a year, and then that was when you actually started expanding your property portfolio. I know, once you did your first rent-to-rent HMOs, you kind of transition into rent-to-rent to self-accommodation, and then you and your business partner then went to secure 2 more properties, for self-accommodation. Now, whilst that was ongoing, there was also a change in strategy in your year after your year one. So your year one was, to basically start asset acquisition, using the low barrier to entry, buy Refurbished Refinance to, single family dwelling up north. And that was another journey as well.
Yeah.
So because one of the things I always say, rent to rent is great. Not every property strategy is for everybody.
Yeah.
Right? I say this all the time because some people come in because rent to rent sounds very easy, controlling other people's property.
Yeah.
So a lot of times people think controlling other people's property is very easy. You can just pick up the phone, speak to somebody, and they're going to give you the property and say yes. However, some people might also look at it and say, actually, I can take some money out of my existing home. If I already own a house, I can actually go and buy more properties.
Yeah.
Or some people can actually say, maybe I can actually speak to a property buyer, and I can actually speak to a landlord, and I can sell the deal, and I can make £3,000. So the more you get into it, you start finding which is your strength, which is your weakness.
Yeah.
So what made you then transition from after you secured your first 2 deals, or 3 deals now, and then you decided to hit the buy, refurbish, refinance?
You know what? It was kind of the buy, refurbish, refinance strategy was in my mind. It was always there in the back of my mind. I think I'd always listened to you talking about it, and I know I spoke to you about it a few times about doing it with my house.
Yes.
And I was like, oh no, I can't. I can't move out of my house. And making that into an HMO or whatever. Or so I talked to you about that, and I kind of, I don't know. I'm not sure when I thought. I think I've just you doing all, coming into the
classes,
to the classes and talking about it and seeing Marion and what Marion had done, and who else was there?
There's Marion, there's Anthony Howell.
Yeah, and just hearing,
there was myself.
Those, yeah, that's right. And I thought, you know what, I'm just going to do this. So obviously I had Dean on board and just talked about what I could do with my house, which I had equity in.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was kind of a journey, wasn't it? Yeah,
it was.
Because I had a second charge on my house and I had to sort that, get that all sorted out. But we did that in the end. It took about, how long did it take us? No, ages, about 8 months or something.
It took about 8 months. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, let me quickly kind of, take us back a little bit. So looking back now, from being someone who worked in housing, from someone who is also a qualified counselor, and, way back, you've mentioned over 25 years ago, you would basically go into houses with, the surveyors, to evaluate properties and, thinking in your mind, oh, now I'm 60 because we were 60, you were 60 when we met.
Yeah.
And now looking at 62, in 2 years, the level of things that's happened in property, in business, how does that make you really feel?
Yeah, I feel really proud of myself from what I knew when I was 60 in that April. I'll never forget that end of March, April. I thought, no, I just feel like I've learned so much. I've come a long way in the 2 years. And yeah, my mindset has really changed as well. It's not just about for me, it's about my family, my children. I don't want them to go on to be, from generation to generation lack. From what I know, there's no one that I can say in my family that has got their own business, or extended family, yes, but not my immediate family, where they've got their own business, they're doing their own thing. Do you know what I mean? Has tried something different. So I think that's what's made me want to do this more. I just want to leave a legacy for my children, my grandchildren, my great-grandchildren, and just to let people know that you can break that cycle of poverty and lack. But it's just about your mind. It's to me, I think it's about your mindset.
I totally agree. It's, that's why I spoke about one of the biggest things I learned from my mentors earlier. It's everything in life we've ever wanted is 70%, of our mindset. It's just like the greatest book ever written, the Bible says, it teaches us, God spoke and everything became. Yeah. So God spoke, said, let there be light. There was light. God spoke. Yeah. And it says, let there be darkness and light, the dark be called the night, the light be called the day. And from having the right mindset, we speak of what we want to become. Yeah. Like you just stated now, I think especially us Black people, we over time, I'm born and bred from one of the greatest, largest Black nation on the planet, Nigeria. Yeah. And one of the things I really come to realize as a Nigerian, all Black race is one. First of all Black race is one. And whatever you're from, as long as you're Black, we're all one. And I think for me, this whole thing about poverty and generational, looking at the world statistics the other day, I've studied that over and over and over. And Black people are, for example, in England, we're positioned to be the poorest by statistics.
That's right.
We're also less in boardrooms. Obviously, a lot is changing now.
Yeah.
When it comes to female entrepreneur, naturally, Black women are entrepreneurs more than men, because in Africa, where I'm from, you see the next woman selling something on the corner shop.
Yeah.
You see the aunties, cooking, in that next restaurant, you see them doing like providing, cleaning service.
Yeah.
But yet, this entrepreneurship is in us, but yet we're still the poorest.
And you know what? Saying that, when I think about it now, I've always been an entrepreneur. You know why? Because I've always, from I was younger, I've always done something. I sold Avon. I was selling for Vitality Insurance. Went through that. I did, what else did I do? I did the Forever Living. I don't know if people
Forever Living product.
Yeah,
remember that?
Forever Living products. And what else? I just do little, I rent out my driveway, 2 cars.
Yeah.
So to me, and I used to look after students. I used to have students in my house.
Yep.
So I've always been an entrepreneur, really, if I think about it. I've always done something, but that's not what I wanted to do. So those things I just but I still rent out my drive as a car park. So I'm always doing something. So I am an entrepreneur.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is where I was going with that, because the truth is that, blacks are entrepreneurs. We're but what we've never been taught, is how to literally focus.
Yes.
I've actually posted something 3 days ago. I said a focused fool.
Yeah.
All right. I said a focused fool would be successful more than a distracted genius.
Yeah.
I don't want the audience to see this in the wrong way. The truth is that I think a lot of us are very distracted, and that is the reason why we never get to build wealth. And that's the reason why we never it's almost like we have become acclaimed distractive people.
Yeah.
And the reason why we're very entrepreneurial, all right, we never get to be successful because, yes, like you said, you do a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of that, a little bit of that. We're doing a little bit of everything.
Yeah, not focused.
We become a jack of all trade and become, they say, master of none, and I believe what changed for me in my life over the last 6-7 years is the fact that I learned to do one thing long enough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's the things other, race who are seen at the top level, that's what they do.
Yeah.
They do one thing long enough, focused long enough.
Yeah.
They test. So look, let me use my most favorite, inspiration, Elon Musk. Mm-hmm. He sent the rocket to the sky once, came down crashing.
Yeah.
Sent it to the second time, came down crashing.
Yeah.
Sent it the third time, came down crashing. Sent it the fourth time, came down crashing. The fifth time, he had a chance of success at 80%.
Yeah.
The sixth time, 90% success. The seventh time, complete success.
Complete success. Didn't give up.
He didn't give up. Now, I wish, obviously, we're very resilient. No word of a lie. If you look at the struggle from slavery and all of these things that's happened in the past, we're very resilient. We're very hopeful people. But I think that our hopes sometimes get carried away. We get distracted because we're always trying to, it's almost like, let's just feed. Let's get by for tomorrow. Let's get by for the next day. Let's get by. And because we're just trying to get by without actually being laser focused and setting our mind and just say, we're going to do whatever we can to get these things to work. So our entrepreneurial spirit or that drive that we have sometimes get literally it's like scattered all over the place. Whereas if you learn to just gather, do it long enough, have the right people, have the right contact, have the right, being in the right environment, we can actually become we are gradually becoming, a lot is changing, but we can become a stakeholder in the wealth creation, community globally. Yeah, we can compete.
Yeah, and as you said, being around the right people, I think that's really important because sometimes the people that you're around, your old friends, people, even family, can be like a distraction or, be kind of not encouraging.
Yeah.
Or they don't understand. It's not because they don't want to be, they just don't understand. They just think that's impossible. You can't do that. It's impossible. It's not going to work.
Yeah, and they say that to us because because of love.
Yeah.
I remember in the beginning of this new journey, after last time I, lost a lot of things. And when I went to her and I said, I'm going to get started in property, it's like, okay, I wish you all the best. Not in a bad way, because she was tired of me trying to test too many different types of businesses, which has come down, crashed a couple of times. And eventually God really helped us. And one of the things that changed for me was, that I learned to do one thing long enough over the last 7 years now.
Yeah.
And this is something I never did before. I never learned to do something long enough.
I think that's like me.
And everybody needs to learn to do one thing long enough, So, Max, you mentioned that your biggest drive is looking at your 43-year-old son today, which is actually my age, mate.
Yeah.
Right? Your 43-year-old son now must be like so proud of you. Like, Mom, if you did not quit, if you did not turn it down, because what you're doing now in your family, maybe you might not know this, you're just setting a new benchmark.
Yeah.
You've just broken a new barrier, because I think sometimes we are all, somehow we enslave ourselves without knowing. That's just the truth. So most people could have done more and become better and, greater in their life, but the family mindset sometimes just enslaves you naturally.
That's right, yes.
So you've actually broken that self-enslavement in your immediate family, thinking, okay, 60, let me turn it down. Actually, no, 60, let me turn it up.
Yeah.
So your son will never be able to give an excuse when he's 60 to his children.
Exactly.
That's what you've done.
Yeah.
And how does that make you feel?
Yeah. That makes me feel good. It makes me feel good. Although I've done little things over the years and he's seen that, but he's seen me always quit, stop doing it. So I think it's good to let him see that I'm continuing with this. I mean, he's focused on what he's doing. He's been, he's always worked. But not to go out there and take risks, basically.
Yeah. And now you're like, Mom is taking risks.
Yeah, I'm taking the risks.
And what you're doing now is, yes, you're very right. You're changing that generational pattern.
Yeah.
That's the truth.
Yeah.
So it's like what I have become today in my family, same. I'm also breaking that.
Yeah.
I remembered after securing your first deals and you secured your self-accommodation property. And then I said, well, actually, Max, let's buy a property now. And I remember where you said, well, yeah, I've got this house, but I've been told, I can't take that much more money out of it. The highest I can take was about 20, 30, 40,000. I've already taken, 25,000 pounds a couple of years ago to upgrade my kitchen and upgrade my house, and I said, well, based on the equity you currently have, still, I think we can take more money out. And I remembered when myself, again, we have a financial broker in the property wealth team, who is a third party, but one of us, they're actually one of the sponsors of the podcast as well. So Ramsey and White. So, and we had that meeting and we evaluated what your house was worth.
Yeah.
And I remember that and I said to Dean, Dean, I think, what do you reckon we can get out? And Dean said, hold on a minute. And he done an evaluation. And he said, we can actually take 150. And I remember you was like, how does that happen? Like, I saw the look on your face on that Zoom call. I can never forget. Now, looking back, we did it. You released 140,000 from your house.
Yeah.
Obviously, yes, it was a retained interest, so you paid your interest forward. And I remember the 120 coming through and then paying off your second charge, and you still having almost 100 and something thousand to get into your first project. Looking back now, where you've now actually spent that money in acquiring your first buy, refinance to a single family unit in Newcastle. Again, let me go back to how do you feel? Because this is something that you thought wasn't possible, and acquiring your first investment property right now. How do you feel? One, and then two, how did you overcome the mindset challenge that you went through?
I feel really grateful that it's happened. I feel really proud that I kind of didn't give up and saw it through. Even though there was a lot of fear there, but yeah, I overcame that. And how did I overcome my mindset? I think just basically listening to you, contacting you sometimes when I felt a little bit anxious. If I was feeling anxious, I'd contact you, and it would be like, oh my God, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm a little bit anxious. What and you'd always talk me through and I'd be fine. Even just meeting up with you and the others, being in the, all together, the whole
world circle.
Yeah. Just being, when we got together, when we had the,
mastermind days
and those meetings, it just gave me that boost and confidence and understanding that this is what I'm doing, and it's natural to feel that. It's natural to feel that way, to feel, anxious. But it's just about talking to people and seeing other people has done it, as you've done it, and Anthony's done it, and Marion's done it, and John's done it. And, it just makes me, this can happen, because sometimes you think to yourself,
Sunday as well. Sunday,
yeah, Sunday's done it, Asma and others, Abby and Femi. And sometimes I think to myself, can this really happen? Can I really do? Is it because you don't believe? Well, I don't believe. Sometimes I didn't believe that. Who am I? Who am I to be in this, on the way to being a property millionaire? I'm going to put it out there.
Yes, I love that.
On my way to being who am I? But you know something? I'm going to be honest. I've always felt, since I was young, there was something more for me. I've always felt that God had his hand on me and my life would be better. I don't know why I felt like that. That's not something anyone's told me. I've just felt it, that God has had his hand on me right through my life. And I totally believe that. Because even now when I read scriptures, it's all positive stuff. It's like he's talking to me. Either read a scripture or something come up on my YouTube. Every time, through that process of when I was first going through buying property, the video would come up and it would have something that related to me. I'd read it every day and it would be something relating to me. And I just thought, wow, God is really talking to me.
Yeah.
And it's about being obedient as well to what you believe shouldn't be in your life and what should be in your life.
Yeah.
It's about being obedient. And I think that's what's kept me and made me realise that, yeah, I can do this. There is a hand on my life and it's going to happen. It's going to happen, whatever anybody wants to say. And it's about having the right people around you as well.
Absolutely. So looking back now, you've gone through a process where you successfully secured 3 rent-to-rent property. They're doing absolutely well. You bought your first investment properties. In January, next month really, you'll be going through your refinancing.
Yes.
And God willing, that property is going to be worth £150,000 once it's completed. Mm-hmm. And then, we're going to refinance that at 75% loan to value, which is going to put worst case scenario, put about £110,000 worst case scenario into your bank account. Mm-hmm. And you're going to be able to flip that money around very, very quickly because you bought your property cash, and do the second deal. And then the third one. So it looks like by the grace of God, 2024 is going to be an exciting year for you.
Yeah.
God willing, and I know God that you serve and I serve is not going to put us to shame.
That's right.
Because for me, I believe everything is supernatural. Everything is spiritual as well.
Yeah.
It has to be one spiritually and then one physically.
Yeah.
And people ask me, why do I mention God all the time? Because without God,
nothing. We haven't got anything, have we?
We haven't got anything.
Nothing,
and look at the day we're having this interview, the reason for the season, celebrating Jesus and Christmas, right? Uh-huh. So Max, it's been an absolute pleasure having you here. So just as we start to wrap up this conversation now, how did you feel when you picked up that keys? And when you went, how many times have you been to the property ever since you've been?
About 3 times.
You've been there 3 times since being...
3 times, I think I've been there. Twice.
Yeah.
3 times, yeah.
Great. How do you feel, how did you feel when you picked up the keys and you bought that first property? How did your family, your children, when you told them, finally, I bought my first investment property?
Do you know what? My kids, they're all excited. They really want to go and see it. They haven't been up there yet, but yeah, they're really excited. And I sent them the videos at first of all, and they were saying, yeah, go for it. They've all been encouraging. And my oldest son, he's helped me financially as well.
Wow.
So
bless him.
So that's really good. And I know they will be interested. They just want to see it finished and completed, and we're going to go and see it. And, the refurbishment finished, and we go up and see it. And I know that they're going to get involved.
Yeah, and that's what's going to happen, to be honest. What's going to happen is that by the grace of God, all things being equal, when we refinance in January and, we get the valuation of the best case, obviously your best case is 150, your mid cases are, if I was right, 140, and your worst case was about 130. When you get your best case, it's almost all your money out. If, even if you get worst case, you still have enough money to do the next project. Yeah. And you're obviously doing the buy, refurbished, refinance, buy three, keep 2, sell 1 strategy. So we can use that money on the third one that is selling to pay off your existing second charge in your home that you're currently using for your buy, refurbished, refinance, or just currently opening that second charge loan into a finance that you can use to actually fund your entire property journey through until we get to property number 5. And you've been enjoying the whole process, haven't you? Yeah.
Some little bit challenges when they are, you're asked questions by the lenders or the whoever. That gets a little bit. But then once you do it, once you give them the information, that's fine.
Yeah. I think when we once you get the refinance, we're going to actually come and we're going to bring you back on the podcast, and we're going to talk about going through all those application process. How, because it does make you feel very uncomfortable, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
A lot of people have actually quitted by lenders asking them questions, and questions where it feels very uncomfortable. Yeah. Because sometimes you're feeling like, why are they asking me this about why I spent this? Why I did that? Why I did this? Why did I miss that, payments here and there? And it does make you feel like a father talking to a son. It's almost like you're being told off. Yeah. Last question for you, Max. If you were to summarize your journey through learning with Property of Education, myself being your mentor for the last coming to 3 years now, what would be your greatest, summary of how you feel from the heart? The education, the mentorship has really, helped you or impacted you in a positive way or in a negative way?
Yeah, no, it's been really positive. And I think the highlight for me is knowing that people are there, you're there to speak to. Even if it's Malika and does the admin, she's there. Millie's there if you needed to ask any questions. It's just so positive, and the learning is just fantastic. Love the book, love the Rent to Rent. That kind of set me off in the beginning. So it's just being there. Even when we have the when you done your book launch, I mean, that was fantastic. It was just that inspires me.
The test,
seeing the test, the test, just the people there, and that makes me feel like this is a really good mentorship, that I made the right choice.
Fantastic.
Right choice, yeah.
So what would be one of the biggest things that you've learned in this 2-3 years of working with myself? One thing that you've learned for yourself, it could be the fact that, you built, a mindset to, especially I teach about OPM a lot, or just one thing, and what would that one thing be that you've literally learned for yourself?
I think it's about the mindset for me. That's so important, the mindset. Knowing that you're doing something and you get to where you feel really anxious and you think, oh my God, I want to pull back. That's when you keep going.
Yeah, true.
When you feel like you're just, no, I can't do this. This is not. Because I know a friend of mine, she told me the same thing that happens to her. She gets to this stage where she's really anxious and think, oh my God, I can't do this. And then she stops. So that's gone for me now. I'm just going to go through. And if I feel, what they say, feel the fear and do it anyway. So that's the fear that, you feel that fear and you just keep going.
Yeah, true. You're very right. I say this all the time. a lot of people quit
Yeah,
at the
when you get to that
verge
peak,
of
it's
their
the peak,
breakthrough.
isn't it? Yeah.
A lot of people quitted
Yeah.
at the verge of
Yeah.
their breakthrough.
Yeah. So it's like you're going up, you're doing things, and when you get to that top, that's when the anxiety comes in, and then you either go back down to where you were or you drop back.
Yeah.
But you carry on. Carry on.
Carry on.
Yeah. Don't slip back down.
Absolutely. Don't
Go
sleep back.
forward. Yeah.
Great. One word for you to the audience.
Thing for me, I think it's if you want to get into the property business, get a mentor. Check out Daniel's podcasts or
Masterclass.
The masterclass is a good thing to start off with. I think get a mentor. I know a lot of people go into property and they buy one property and they don't know what to do. They don't know how to do the second one. They need a mentor. So my last word of advice is get yourself a mentor and check out the masterclass.
And I'm just going to put this out. Maxine is going to be in my new book. Okay. I promised you that.
Yeah.
Maxine is going to be, she's going to be in my new book, my next new book that's coming out. I'm not going to give the date out yet, but a new book is coming out. So that'll be my third book. And she's going to be having a chapter in that book where she's going to go deep and just share, I think by then we'd have done maybe your second project. Yeah. So there's be a lot to share. Numbers of all your deals and everything else. So thank you so much for being here. Merry Christmas.
Thank you for having me. Merry Christmas to you.
So guys, make sure you go and connect with Max as well. Our social media is going to be around the show notes. So connect with her, reach out to her. If Maxine at the age of 62 is doing amazing things, what are you waiting for? Like literally what you're waiting for. Get started, get yourself a mentor, get yourself education, and find someone who can hold your hands. Holding hands is so important in this journey because it does get very, very lonely. All right. So you need to have that network of people around you. I'll see you on the next episode. Take care. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.